Alright, I'm just gonna be 100% honest with everyone here. I did not watch the entire Ricky Gervais special. I know. I can see you're already loading those rotten tomatoes and rotten eggs, but I'm just prefacing this by saying this, but if he somehow goes at the end and says, actually, the opposite, and completely negates everything he ever said, then sure. I guess I just didn't see that. My criticisms are lying solely within these outstanding jokes and clips that I've taken from like the first 20 minutes of the special that I managed to watch. Now the reason why I did not watch the entire thing is because it was just fucking depressing to watch. It was just putting me in a bad mood. And I figured, why not? I've already got enough content to make a video. This isn't the fucking Supreme Court. He's not gonna have a jury. He's not gonna have a judge. He's not gonna have an executioner. This is my show, and I will be as unfair as I want to be. Ricky Gervais is the fucking paragon of pathetic anti-SJW babies utilizing the invented narrative of cancel culture to leverage sales and try and hide the fact that they're just a terrible comedian. Oh, they won't let you tell these jokes anymore, he says as he is explicitly permitted by the platform to tell said jokes. He even bragged to media outlets saying that he intentionally wrote it to try and get himself cancelled, which as I've mentioned before is just a fake buzzword descriptive of a non-existent phenomenon used as a vehicle to normalize and compartmentalize right-wing anti-civil rights cockhead morons. And that anyone who has a problem with anything you say, anyone that criticizes a thing you say is just trying to cancel you and get everything ruined. Which, as I've said before, if you are putting yourself out there, but refusing to accept criticism or just denouncing all of it as just being hatred and not accepting or internalizing any of it, guess what? You actually have no standards for anything you make, and you have no standards for anything you consume. If I could approximate the bulk of Ricky Gervais's aesthetic, it's see what the considerate thing to say is, and then say the opposite. Like the fucking description of the Netflix special outright calls him a contrarian. Contrarianism is just taking the thing that everyone likes and saying the opposite of it. There's no insight to that. There's no skill to that. It is like a step above just going on stage, screaming the N-word, and then walking off. It's just pointlessly offensive, there's no insight, there's no commentary to be made, and it's not even funny. It's just hateful. Criticism is a good thing. If you don't take criticism, guess what? The shit you make is always going to be terrible, and eventually no one's going to care about it, except for the people that are only caring about it to try and own the libs, like Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro didn't give a fuck about Louis C.K. until he jacked off in front of women that weren't expecting it. Now he's the fucking greatest comedian of the century, whatever the fuck he said. Now before we get into the special, here's a clip of him dropping the N-word in an interview just for like no fucking reason.
These two.
We say nigger on stage.
On stage.
You guys don't. That's
that's
an interesting two teams
that's
here.
the difference between
That's right. That's right.
We
say
can pair
nigger on
up in
stage. You
different
guys
ways,
don't.
but that's definitely a pairing. Who
We
says
say-
nigger on stage? We don't.
Well, you just did.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
You and me say
No,
nigger
I'm
in
not.
private.
No.
These two guys. These two guys don't.
Alright, I'll be completely honest. I'm not offended. It's just like, why though? I get that in context, if you like analyze it on a scientifically etymological scale, some people would argue that it's not racist. I guess because he's using the word nominatively, but like, be prepared to explain that to every single person that has a problem with it. No, see, it's actually not offensive. You know what you're offended by, and that's not something you're offended by. If you don't find that what he said was racist, like, that's all there is to it. You just don't find it racist. But the reason I'm including that in at all is because it's an example of him trying to be, on a completely shallow dimension, shocking. Let's take a minute and talk about what I think makes actual good edgy humor.
Hello. Thank you. Shush. Thank you very much. Shush. No. Shush. Thank you, but shut the fuck up. No fucking whooping or...
It's funny because I mean the opposite.
The fundamental principle that defines it is that you're presenting the morally wrong thing, and the audience is laughing at the morally wrong thing because they know what the right thing is. He even says this at the beginning of the special.
That was irony, okay? There's going to be a bit of that throughout the show. See if you can spot it, okay? Now, that's when I say something I don't really mean for comic effect, and you as an audience, you laugh at the wrong thing because you know what the right thing is. It's a way of satirizing attitude.
The thing is that what actually gives the joke value is where you're directing the ridicule. South Park making fun of Osama bin Laden is good humor regarding Osama bin Laden. Even though he organized the killing of thousands of innocent people and likely intimidated thousands more, South Park didn't afford that luxury to him to compliment his ego. They disparaged and discredited him. They mocked him because he should have been the subject of ridicule. He's the bad guy. Now imagine the episode flipped on its head. South Park makes fun of the passengers, the firefighters, the worker, the innocent people that died. But when you make jokes intended to disparage innocent people like trans people, gay people, black people, any minority, you're really just enforcing the persecution they suffer. Now, anything can be joked about, even minorities. This is something that I'm very adamant about. But it's about tact and it's about respect. You really just need to ask yourself what deserves the scorn. You want to make fun of leftists? Why don't you mock how trivially divisive they can get? Why don't you mock how arrogant they can get with people that they don't agree with? People that haven't always shared their own opinions. Why don't you mock their anti-growth stance and how, like, people that get unradicalized from being Nazis and being hateful people, they still suffer hatred from them because of what they used to be, even if they're not that anymore. That's something they can control. That's something they can help. It makes sense to criticize and mock that. Osama bin Laden chose to fly those planes into the Twin Towers. Trans people did not choose to be trans. Fucking whatever, let's just get into the special. Now his opening is just defining irony. He says that women aren't funny, but it's okay because he said it ironically.
What about all the funny female comedians? Like, no. Right. No.
Now the important thing about ironic humor is what part you're actually meant to laugh at. In that joke, you're meant to laugh at him struggling to think of funny female comedians. Now unbelievably, I will give Richard, I'll just call him Dick. I will give Dick the benefit of the doubt here. I believe he is trying to actually say that people who say this are sexist. And the reason why he put this first is because he really needs his first joke to be progressive, so that he'll have plausible deniability for anything he says later. He joked that female comedians aren't funny, which means he thinks they can be. He thinks female comedians can be funny. First of all, here, let me award you your medal for that. But it means that there's now a foundation for maintaining a facade where, like, oh, but he said female comedians can be funny, so how can he be hateful in these degrees? He's laying the groundwork for a sentence that goes something like, anything you didn't like, I actually didn't mean, and anything you did like, I actually did mean. Oh, you don't believe me? Hey, why are you trying to censor me? Completely disabling the chance for them to even respond to this, because he is so fucking sensitive and petulant that he needs to block these people, then go on stage in front of hundreds or even thousands of people to read it out in front of them to get them to agree, to reinforce his fucking paper-thin, fragile ego.
Real tweet. Call yourself a comedian? He knows I do. Literally says the word in my Twitter bio.
And also just disabling any ability for the author to reply whatsoever. He then prattles on about an insinuated replacement theory that cis women are going to be pushed aside by trans women.
Women. Not all women. I mean the old-fashioned ones. You know, the old-fashioned women. Oh, God. You know, the ones with wombs. Oh. Those fucking dinosaurs.
The joke in this clip is clearly that cis women are being outmoded by being the new women.
No, I love the new women. I know the new women. They're great, aren't they? You know, the new ones we've been seeing lately. The ones with beards and cocks. They're as good as gold. I love them.
They're as good as gold, I love them. Guess what the ironic interpretation of that statement is? If he's being ironic on stage, he means that they're not good as gold, and that he doesn't love them. And that'll become more and more apparent as the clip goes on. Now he's talking about the false assumption that trans women want to use women's bathrooms as an overarching veil to easily sexually assault, or even blatantly, as Dick says, rape them.
They want to use our toilets. Why shouldn't they use your toilets? For ladies. They are ladies. Look at their pronouns. What about this person isn't a lady? Well, his penis. Her penis, you fucking bigot. What if he rapes me? What if she rapes you? You fucking turf whore.
Now this is a topic I've wanted to delve into for quite a while, so I guess now that he's brought it up, it's a completely appropriate time. This fear is utterly, completely reactionary and irrational. Number one, let's discuss the fucking irony in the fact that whenever this palava is brought up, we only hear about it in terms of preventing trans women from entering women's bathrooms. Trans men, on the other hand, the ones with vaginas, just like all those cis women you're so valiantly defending, aren't brought up nearly as much, even though statistically trans people are exponentially more likely to be sexually assaulted. You're not okay with the trans women going to the women's restrooms, but the trans men can go into the men's restrooms. They'll be fine. I mean, whatever. I think that alone is blatant enough evidence that you don't actually care about the alleged rape factor. Number two, it plays into the sexist lie that anyone with a dick is definitely more likely to rape someone, when in fact the only correlation is that they're less likely to report sexual assault, either due to the trivialization of male sexual assault or the ostracization that trans women suffer from TERFs. Either of those things make people with dicks less likely to report sexual assault. It's the equivalent of saying that, oh, you can't let that Jew into that church. What if he steals all their money? And Ricky Gervais has really empowered those stereotypes and given a lot of credibility to them by legitimizing them and targeting the ridicule at people that don't deserve it. Number three, let's think about this practically. Let's actually get fucking real for a second. Is the only thing stopping rapists or sexual predators a sign on the fucking door? But what if there's a women's restroom and it's in the middle of the woods and there's no one else around and there's no cameras and there's only two of them and they get raped? I guess you fucking got me there. I guess that means we have to undo the civil rights and just not let them use the correct bathroom. Number four, it's never fucking happened. No man has pretended to be a woman to sneak into a women's bathroom to rape a woman. That's never happened. Ever. It's made up. It's irrational. You're just saying that people with dicks are more likely to rape someone when that's not true, and you don't even care about the trans men entering the men's room, even though, you know, I guess since people with dicks are more likely to rape people, there's a lot more dicks in the men's room, so they should really be the ones that should be protected, but they're not. It's the cis women in the women's restroom that are being protected the most, even though they're not in any danger with a trans woman entering the women's restroom. Now let's clarify where the source of the irony is meant to be here. You see, the joke is that the person is more interested in referring to the rapist by the correct pronouns than the oh so serious problem of trans women using the bathroom. Hey Dick, newsflash. Every female you know, and I mean every single one that uses public bathrooms, has been in the same bathroom as a trans woman before, and has had no idea. You wanna know why? Because they're not more likely to fucking rape someone, you dumbass. Now here he whines about Louis C.K. being quote-unquote cancelled, even though he's apologized for the sexual assault.
And I decided I'd rather watch Louis C.K. masturbate. Can't mention him anymore, he's cancelled. Not enough to apologise and move on.
Listen, it's not sexual assault if he jerks off in front of women that didn't expect it, but it is sexual assault if a trans woman uses the bathroom. Yeah, he's cancelled. It's not like he's in the middle of releasing a film that he wrote and directed, released another one filmed at the Hulu Theater, which currently has a 7.7 on IMDb, has a net worth of $35 million. Please just fucking stop. It is very reminiscent of when gay people were banned from becoming Boy Scout leaders. Oh, they're attracted to people of that sex, so that makes more of them likely to commit sex crimes against them. Listen, if there's a straight man in there that's capable of rape, it is just impossible for him to consider raping someone of the same sex. So at least he's not around his urges. What, do you think there's a fucking gender gap in child molestation? If someone is capable of rape, they're going to rape someone no matter what. They're into some very disgusting shit because they're a very mentally disturbed person. The sex of the victim is irrelevant to them. I'm sorry to say it. I'm actually not sorry to say it, but it's just reactionary and delusional. And there's a few more clips that I wanted to talk about, but it's just a really, fucking miserable thing to discuss. I just wanted to use this as an example of, bad edgy humor. I'm gonna give him the complete benefit of the doubt that this was all just, some fourth dimensional mind game shit where the irony is of the irony that trans women shouldn't be persecuted. But I don't think that's the case, because he's still doubling down about it. He's still going on about this, oh, I love the sinner, but I don't love the sin sort of rhetoric on his fucking socials. If that's not enough of an indication of his stance. To make a long story short, I think it's funnier, and I think it's a lot more insightful and a lot more impactful when you make jokes about people that actually deserve it instead of innocent people. Oh, the trans people, they're just getting away with too much lately. What, I heard they're legal to exist in like 4 states now. We gotta stop them. It's fucking ridiculous. It's not funny. It's miserable. And that's why I only watched the first 20 minutes, and that's why I'm only talking about this much of it. I'm sure there's worse in there. I'm sure there's better in there. But fundamentally, it's just bad. Alright, well thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry that this was kind of a disaster of a video, but I'm still not very used to talking scripted on camera. As you see, I look away because I'm looking at my script. But I've been really appreciating the support, and I really appreciate if you guys could share this with your friends and put it in some group chats, just send it to someone, post it on Twitter. You know, could get something from it. You could be on the precipice of being one of the first followers of a possibly huge channel. You just need to make this channel huge. So get out there, get sharing if you like. If not, well, you probably already left by now. But yeah, thank you for watching the end of this video. Thanks for the extra view. And thank you in advance for the like and comment. Goodbye.